This is the SAU Report, a program featuring interviews with the faculty, staff, students, and alumni of Southern Arkansas University in Magnolia.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the SAU Report. I'm Richard Moore.
And I'm Ozzie Greene.
And our guest today on the SAU Report is Miss Sheila Pearson of the Computer Information Systems faculty here at SAU. Miss Pearson, thanks a lot for joining us and taking time out of your busy schedule. I want to start the program off today by asking, could you tell us just a little bit about your position here at SAU and what classes you teach?
I'm assistant professor of CIS, and that's taught in the School of Business. And I primarily teach a lot of the programming classes, the COBOL programming classes, and some of the software development classes, like some of the software that we teach are the word processing and spreadsheets and database, things like that.
Okay. How long have you been here at SAU?
I've been teaching here since 1982.
Okay.
Where were you raised and where did you receive your education?
I actually graduated here from my undergraduate degree from SAU. I'm a hometown girl, except not necessarily Magnolia, just a little bit outside of Magnolia, between here and El Dorado.
Oh, okay. Could you tell us a little bit about your family?
I recently lost both of my parents, and I'm an only child. I'm married, and I have a little boy that's 3 years old.
Are they involved with computers also? Your husband?
No, not really.
No, they're not?
No.
Okay.
Being here at SAU every day, what differences do you see in college today than say when you were in college?
Really, there's not a whole lot of differences, except there's been a lot of new programs that have been added merely because of what the technological change has been. There was a computer degree when I was here in school, although that was not my undergraduate degree. My undergraduate degree was business education. And there's a lot of programs as far as what the computer related that has changed the whole outlook of SAU from that time.
As it's grown some.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The computer commons in both buildings, here in the business building and across the way there at Wilson Hall, are always fairly busy. Do you think that the computer facilities here at SAU are adequate, or possibly is there room for some improvement and upgrade?
Well, I think what they should do, or I hope that they've been doing, or we've been talking about, is include some facilities in the dorms for access. And I know that's in the plans. I don't know exactly when that's going to happen. Every time that I've asked them to check on the availability of computers, they've given me a report that identifies how many computers were used at certain times and what was the availability. And it always seems that there's some peak times and there's some low times. And I think the students eventually figure out when they can go and make time to be in the lab.
Right. Okay.
Back when you was at SAU, when you was a student here, how was it to register for classes? I heard it was really totally different from what it is now. Can you tell us a little about that?
We had to go and register. All the faculty were at assigned positions, usually in Wilson Hall. And the number of people that you wanted in your classes, you got a little card. And because we were on the card system at that time. And we talked about some of those in my classes. Some of the students know what I'm talking about, these little punch cards. So the faculty were given the number of cards for the number of people that they wanted students in their classes. And so when you wanted to go and register for that class, you went to that location and you asked the faculty if they had some openings in their class, and you picked up a card for their class. And it all became a great big packet that was turned in at the end of registration. And there were long lines. There were classes that closed when you didn't want them to. And there was always lines as you were going to pay out and that type of thing. So it was a lot different than it is now. This is much easier to do.
So it was pretty much madness here back when.
Oh yeah, it was. I can remember backing up all the way back into the stairwell in Wilson Hall, going down to the first floor.
Are you satisfied with the computer technology here at SAU?
We've made lots of changes in the last several years. We're moving in the right direction.
That's good. Is there anything that SAU needs to update as far as computers are concerned?
I'm not so sure about update. It's one of those things that you just have to stay current most of the time. You've got to, I'm not saying you have to be on the leading edge. Most people are not going to be on the leading edge. But you have to be at least somewhere close to it. And, we've been making a lot of strides to keep things up to date here. I know here in the School of Business we've recently put in a very small networking lab that we're going to use in several of the classes to show students how networking is done on a small scale. We've got 6 machines in there, and they're going to be done using for the education classes on up to the data communications classes in our curriculum.
You talked about staying up to date and keeping your credentials current, I guess you could say. Do you have to attend a lot of conferences to be able to teach the classes, on computers effectively? I imagine that's an ongoing process.
Usually I'd like to attend more than one conference a year or some kind of a workshop or training, but usually I try to attend at least one. And more recently I've been doing a lot of things in the networking area because I knew what we were going to do or thinking about putting in that new little lab, and so that's what I attended a lot the last several years, were things on that.
Okay. Now, in the public eye, there's been a lot of controversy lately directed towards censoring items on the internet that may not be suitable for children or the entire public to see. As a parent and a computer teacher, what insight and opinions can you give everyone on this topic?
There's definitely a lot of things that are on the internet that you don't want children or to see and become acquainted with and find. There's a lot of software that's even being developed right now to make sure that if you install it on your system, that your students are not, or children are not going to certain sites, sexually related sites, or anything dealing with the occult or anything like that. You can trigger some words, and if those certain words are on the sites, then you can make your selection of what you want your children or students to see. And there's even time limits when you can put them, like after 8 p.m. at night if they're supposed to be studying or in bed or whatever. You can even set some limits as far as time availability is on that. So they're working with some software now that parents can install and use on their systems, as well as anyone else that are in schools or that type of thing that want to keep certain targeted sites, off limits to students and children.
Okay, it seems like more people are getting involved with computers every day. Now, for those people who are planning to purchase their first computer, I have a computer of my own at home. I believe it's a 286, so it's in the dinosaur age as put up against the way things are nowadays. But my mom asked me, I said, well, you're going to graduate in the summer. What do you want? I thought, a car? It's like, nah, I want a computer. And it seems like the prices are coming down. So what tips can you offer someone who is wanting to maybe buy their first computer?
You really have to look into what you want to use that computer for, and probably by now with you graduating you're going to know what kinds of software and things like that you're going to use. But for someone that's a first-time user or just entering the market, you really have to know what you're going to use that computer for. There's a lot of multimedia type computers that are out there now that uses the graphics and video and audio and everything into besides just the text and things. So if you're interested in that area, then there's certain types of computers that you're going to want to buy. If you're interested in graphics design and that type of thing, you're going to go probably with a Macintosh or some type of application like that has a lot of good graphics in it. And if you're going to be in the business world, you're probably going to be with an IBM compatible type machine. And then from that, just deciding what your needs are going to be and what you're going to use it for. That's really going to dictate the type of computer when you figure out the needs and what software you're going to be using.
And of course, a lot of people are just interested basically in a word processor and a decent printer. So
most of them will basically do that. Anything out out of the ordinary that you're going to be doing after that, you probably need to look specifically at what your needs are going to be. Like if you're going to be using some accounting packages, if you want to put a small business online, if you want to put your if you want to do accounting procedures on it, general ledgers, that accounts receivable, that type of thing, then you're going to be looking into some specific software that's related to that.
Is this the only job you had being working in computers here at SAU, or did you work in computers like at elementary school or middle school or whatever?
No, I've just been teaching as far as the school related is here.
Oh, okay. What made you want to be a computer teacher when you were younger?
Actually, I mentioned earlier that my undergraduate degree was business education. I was really just going into that area, like the high school business teachers where they teach the typing and, all those kinds of things. And I really had a good teacher in high school, a good business teacher in high school that I really liked, and she kind of turned me on to doing a lot of the things that are business oriented that way. I was actively involved in FBLA when I was in high school, so that kind of really started me thinking in that direction. And it kind of came around a little strange how I got into computers. My last semester in college, I actually had a class that we had to do some things on the computer, and again at that time we had the key punch machines with the cards, and so I kind of got interested in doing some things like that, and I just started taking some computer courses because I thought, well, if I'm going to be out in teaching, that's going to be probably one of the things that's going to be at least going into the high school, pretty soon, and so I wanted to get some of the computer classes so I'd have a little background in that, and that's how I got into it.
For the parents out there, and you're a parent of a little child also, how early do you think children should get involved with computers?
Oh, they have some wonderful small little CD-ROM programs that are Winnie the Pooh and Mickey Mouse and all that types of things right now for children that are, preschool age children, that teaches them how to use the mouse and how to use the arrow keys and that type of thing, and locating little games and how they're supposed to go and maneuver through the actual software. So there's no certain age. As soon as they can listen and learn colors and things like that, there's a lot of software there for that type of age. So you can actually start any time.
Is it ever too late to get involved with computing?
Oh no, I've had lots of people that have come into my classes that, well, let's just say they're already retired, and I didn't specifically ask them their age, but they're retirement age, already retired, and they've come through my classes and just done great because maybe their children live in another state and they have a computer and they want to learn how to do email, or they want to know how to do word processing or that type of thing. So they come in and take some of my classes, and they have a blast with it. They have a good time, and they learn a lot too.
Richard?
You're talking about taking that initial typing class. I remember when I was in ninth grade, I think, I decided to take typing for no other reason than just because I liked the teacher and happened to know her. But how important is just for kids, especially maybe watching this, that are in middle school or junior high, to take that initial typing class, not maybe necessarily a computer class?
It's kind of interesting that you asked me that question. Recently, a lot of the State Department here in Arkansas have moved the typing classes, the introduction to keyboarding classes, even down to junior high and sometimes into middle school. And so they're beginning to learn how to use the keyboard very, very early, at least the correct way to use it. Now, again, a lot of students that are probably in third, fourth, fifth grade are probably using their parents' computer to do their little projects or papers that they have to turn in. But with them moving a lot of the typing introduction to keyboarding classes to the middle school level and the junior high level, they're learning keyboarding a lot earlier, the correct way to learn keyboarding. So it's very important. I mean, if you're going to be in the business world, that's one of the things you need to know how to do.
Now, do you see a lot of older, non-traditional type students possibly, coming back here to SAU to upgrade their computer skills?
Oh, yes. I not only teach in the School of Business, but I also teach with the Continuing Education Department, and they offer a lot of computer classes. They're short, they're like 4 weeks, and we meet 2 hours a day, about 8 hours one night a week, and total of 8 hours, 2 hours a night. And we teach all kinds of things in that area, from word processing to spreadsheets to graphics, databases, all types of things. And those are usually a lot of non-traditional students that are just wanting to see if that's what they want to learn, or what they can learn, and take it back to a job, or take it back home and practice on it, or that type of thing.
Okay. You have your SI leader, Anessa DeVisible. I have her in our class. How much is he as an asset to you? Is she a big help?
She is. Well, as you know, Ozzie, you could probably do that or tell a little bit more about it than I can, but she makes up all kinds of little tests for you before we actually have the test. She has some test questions that she asks, and sits down and works through a whole session with you. She's there in the labs at certain times if you have problems with the things that you have to work on for an assignment. So she's invaluable as far as I'm concerned, as far as some help when the students need some, and can talk to students very easily. She's a really good student.
Who are the other teachers that are involved with the computer information system that you know of?
Dr. Rajesh Tyagi, he's one of our new professors that just started this semester, in fact. And we usually have another part-time faculty. Ned Kumar has taught some part-time for us as far as some upper-level classes as well. Usually we have at least one other faculty member that teaches part-time.
Richard?
Has the number of computer classes offered here at SAU increased in the last year, here in the fall semester, say from last fall?
We've added a couple new courses with the new catalog that came out. You know, so we have a few new courses.
Okay.
Usually we just try to make sure that we're teaching the things that our graduates need to get good jobs out in the workplace.
Okay.
And we review that frequently.
Is there still classes offered using the DOS operating system? I believe that was my first computer class under Mr. Willie Milner at the sister school at SAU Tech in East Camden.
We don't teach just a straight DOS class at all. We don't teach that.
Okay.
Being born here, has it changed a little bit as far as computers concerned here at SAU? Have they got more advanced here in Magnolia?
Absolutely. I mean, we have internet access now in Magnolia, and there's more people, you know, using computers now. And it's so funny, if I walk around the square in town, somebody will stop me and ask me about what kind of printer I think they should buy. And I was every time I go to my doctor's office, well, he usually asks me ask a computer question, or he or his secretary one, or, you know, I get stopped all the time and get asked about software things, or, you know, hardware questions, or that type of thing. So that's how I know a lot of people are online and using a lot of their computers for a lot of different ways.
What do you do? What are your hobbies when you're away from the computers?
Well, I don't know if you call it my hobby or not. I just kind of tag along. My husband restores vehicles. We have a 1944 two-door sedan, and we go to a lot of shows and take my little boy along with him. It's a very family-oriented type hobby, and my husband's actually the one, I guess, that does the restoration to all the vehicles, and I just get to tag along and get to ride in them. But we enter them in parades, and, you know, just recently my husband drove one of the in the homecoming parade for one of the local towns that had their homecoming, and we got a bunch of group together that had a lot of old vehicles, and all the girls got to pick their own ride, whatever they wanted to ride in, and rode them to the stadium and out onto the field. And we just do a lot of neat little things like that whenever we're asked to. They're very nice vehicles. They're all redone, and most of the folks, you know, work on them themselves, like my husband does. But like I said, I just get to tag along. I don't get to do a whole lot. I don't know a whole lot about that, but that's one of our hobbies that we do together.
You were talking about, you know, getting stopped on the square downtown and being asked questions. You know, what kind of printer, what type of this or that I need. Have you ever thought about possibly, you know, doing some of that work, you know, on a paid basis? You know, maybe on the side or something like that.
Well, occasionally I have gone in and done some training for some local businesses. Usually I'm just so busy out here with the teaching, and also, like I said, teaching with the continuing education department also. That really ties my time up quite a bit, besides, you know, with the family and things like that. I don't have a whole lot of time to do a lot of freelance type things.
I definitely can relate to that. Another question here, kind of shifting gears. Does the non-traditional type students seem to have problems adjusting to using the computers with the rapidly changing computer environment?
Once they get over the fear of they're not going to break it, you know, that type of thing, and
if I do the wrong thing, it's
yeah,
going to
it's not going to blow up or anything else like that. Once they get over the fear of that, they're fine. You know, they can learn just as well as anyone else. It's not something that's just incomprehensible. You know, I think what's amazes them more than anything else is that to try to grasp everything that the computer can do. You know, just, you know, thinking through some of the things, and, you know, they'll say, "Oh, that's awesome," or, you know, "I didn't know things could, you know, we could do things like that," or, you know, that type of thing. So it's very eye-opening for them, you know, because, again, they didn't grow up with computers like, you know, both of you have done, probably had computers in school. You know, they've not had that opportunity before. So it's very, like I said, it's a very eye-awakening experience for them.
I can remember the old Commodores back in third grade.
I have one of those too.
I know this is finals week and things are getting hectic. How are you spending your holidays after all of this madness is over?
Really, my family's all here locally, so we're just going to spend the holidays with both of our families.
Oh, okay. Do you have any New Year's resolution for the 98
I haven't
year?
even thought that far. Let me get through finals. Haven't thought that far.
Okay, well, hadn't thought that far. You probably hadn't thought as far, maybe your plans for the future. You see yourself 10 years down the road still being a tenured professor at SAU, or?
Boy, I hope so. I don't want to see the alternative sometimes, but yeah, I'm happy here doing what I do right now. And as long as I can be productive, for the school, I'd like to teach here. There's a lot of things that are changing, though. There's a lot of things that are coming online all the time. So staying current's really the tough part. Is making sure that you can keep up to date, and that's what you really have to try to do in this field. That's what I always tell my students. Don't expect by the time you graduate with your BBA and expect you're going to stop learning, because it's just going to keep on happening as long as you're going to be in this field. You just got to stay up. You got to stay current.
Since you've been teaching for a number of years, what's one of the more interesting moments that you've had here on campus or in your teaching career?
Oh gosh, you should have given me some time to think on that one. I don't know. I like graduation. I like graduation, watching the students, knowing that they're going out into the workplace, and that I have helped them prepare themselves for that type of a job. I love getting telephone calls from former students that say, hey, remember me when I was in your class, and we've got a job opening for such and such type person. Do you have anybody available? And being able to put some people together with some job placement, that's really very gratifying to me. And that's happened a lot. Again, I guess because I've been teaching here for such a long time, and the students will call back and say, hey, we've got an opening for this type of a person. You got anybody that's graduating? So, like I said, that's what is very gratifying to me, to be a teacher, is to be able to do that.
You told us in our class, I have class with you on Mondays and Wednesdays and Friday. You read a book with the internet guy,
Bill Gates. The Road Ahead.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Just a little bit.
It's really what he foresees in the future. A lot of it's futuristic. Some of it is. Some of it's not. Some of it's how he established his own company, and the basis for a lot of his, the way he sees the software industry working. It's a very interesting book, and I can recommend that you read it. I've taken a lot of things out of it and used it in several classes because of the diversity of his, topics that he's used in this class, in that book that he wrote. But I've used it in a lot of classes, and he's a very insightful person, as far as what he thinks the technology is going to be in the near future, and what Microsoft is going to be doing, and how he's going to be there.
What do you think the future holds for computers?
I think you're going to see rapid changes. I think you're going to see a lot of the computers getting more powerful that we can buy even now. They're going to do a lot more types of applications, very fast types of applications. They're going to be in a lot of places that the computers maybe have not formally been. You're going to see a lot of computerization there. There's going to be just as fast as the technology's changed in the last probably 5 years, it's going to be that much faster in the next 5 years that it's going to change.
What are your feelings on, you were talking about Mr. Gates a little bit earlier. Recently in the news, there's been a kind of a heated debate between Microsoft, I guess it is, and the Justice Department about Microsoft's alleged requiring vendors to sell their, was it Netscape Explorer, or Internet Explorer?
Internet Explorer,
right, and versus the Netscape Navigator for searching the World Wide Web. What are your feelings on that?
I've used both of them. I think they're both good types of applications. One thing about the Microsoft Explorer is that when you buy anything that's dealing with Microsoft, you're able to get that type of application as well, and it comes as a package deal. I really don't see what's going to happen with that. I'm not a judge or jury in any way with that, and I'll be anxious to see what the final decision in that is as well. Both packages are equally okay.
What's it like working for for Dr. Rankin upstairs here in the business building. Is he very easy to work for?
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's a very nice person, and I think he loves his job and he loves teaching. And it's been very, very. I have to admit that I worked for Dr. Rankin when I was a student here. So I've seen Dr. Rankin change as well as he's probably seen me change in a lot of ways as well. And you know, there couldn't be a better dean for our School of Business. And Dr. Rankin's a really a good person, as well as one that's very well educated and knows all of his knows what he wants to do and what he wants to see the School of Business do. So we have a good person at the helm.
Does your little kid get involved in computers, like computer games like PlayStation?
All right now he wants to do is just bang on the keyboard.
Bang on the keyboard.
That's really all he wants to do. I haven't let him do a whole lot of other things because I want him to get some more visual, types of things and understand that type of thing, read books and that type of thing before he gets on the computer, so that he won't want always to use the computer and will, kind of have a love of books too.
Okay. About these video games, I know it's a change. How far you think that'll go? You think it'll be more realistic like than it is now?
I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with that area. There's a lot of things that are new types of developments that are being made, and I don't even want to venture to say what's going to happen because I don't know. There's just so many changes that you're going to see in the next several years, and that's probably going to be one of the big changes that you're going to see in the games and how they're going to be.
You think they'll be a little safer?
Safer in what respect?
Like they're using compact disc now for video games. How do you feel about that?
Well, the compact discs are used because they can store so much more data than the diskettes or anything else like that. So you're going to see a lot more things happen and to be used by the CDs because they can just store more data, and I think you're going to be able to see them being read from and writing to them as storage devices because again they just store much more data than the diskettes were, and they're easy to be portable and they're that type of thing.
That's an area I need a lot of upgrading in video games. I have an old Nintendo at the house and Sega and all this. I was playing it at Walmart the other day, and it just blows my mind about some of the things that it can be done with that. But getting back to the educational part of this, did you ever think about teaching at a lower level?
You mean like high school?
High school or lower than that?
Oh, I don't know. If it comes to, I might have to teach in high school. I mean, I have the accreditation to do that. I mean, I have the credits to do that. So, if I have to sometime, I guess I could.
You ever thought about getting your doctorate?
Oh yeah, that's a topic I think of a lot.
I imagine a lot of college professors do. They don't have theirs already. Okay. Ozzie?
Ms. Pearson, I think I was about to ask you something. Let me think. Rich, can you go back to that?
Go back. Okay, let's see what we have talked about. What's the most enjoyable part of your job?
Well, I think if I didn't enjoy teaching, I wouldn't get up in the morning and come to SAU every day. You might want to ask Ozzie what's the best thing about being in some of my classes. I don't know. I try to make my classes fun. I don't try to be dull. I try to put some new things in the classes each time that I teach them. I just I just like teaching, and I guess probably what makes it neat is because there's so many people that want to learn about the computers, and so people are in the classes because they want to know. They want to know about some more things about the computers and what they can do and that type of thing. So I guess it makes it an easier way to teach is when the students in there want to be in there.
Okay. Very good.
After teaching, what do you think you'll be doing, like afterwards?
Retirement.
Just retire and just leave it at that.
No hesitation there.
No, I'll probably be teaching something somewhere, probably until it's time for me to retire. I hope that's what I'm doing anyway.
Okay.
Ms. Pearson, we'd like to thank you for being on our show, and
I enjoyed it.
thank you for watching another edition of the SAU Report. I'm Ozzie Greene.
And I'm Richard Moore. Thanks for watching.
The SAU Report is a production of broadcast journalism students in the Department of Theater and Mass Communication at Southern Arkansas University in Magnolia.